beautiful 75-degree day at the New Jersey Meadowlands as we get ready for the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Dave Brown and his Giants hoping to turn it from last week's lackluster performance in Jacksonville. A long day for Brown and the Giants, while Vinny Testaverde and his Ravens came up with an impressive come from behind win over Cincinnati to even their record up at 1 up and 1 down. We welcome you to Giant Stadium. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Randy Cross. Randy, the major question today for the Giants, which Giant team will show up? The one that looks so impressive in beating the Eagles on opening day, or the Giants that played so poorly last week, particularly in the second half in Jacksonville?
Well, the important part of that is getting this offense to show back up that showed up against Philadelphia. You know, it's no secret. Dave Brown and his offensive line need a little confidence. No one can give him the confidence more than this young man right here, Tiki Barber. Stifled last week, good in the opener. They've got to get this guy loose.
And last week, the Ravens played so well coming from behind to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And this, a franchise very excited about its young linebacking core.
Well, young is right. I mean, the old man is Ray Lewis in the middle. He's 22 years old. On one side, you're looking at Jamie Sharper, second-round draft choice out of Virginia. But the big gun, Peter Boulware out of Florida State, the number 4 pick in the draft this year. This guy's got the run defense. He can rush the passer well. He is the key to this young defense.
All right, the Ravens 0-8 on the road last season, looking for the first road victory, actually in the history, the young history of this franchise. Back with the opening kickoff in a moment. The Giants won the toss, and they will receive. Matt Stover, a one-time Giant, originally drafted by the Giants in his 8th year out of Louisiana Tech, will kick it off for the Ravens. Thomas Lewis and Tyrone Wheatley are back deep. Here's Lewis, who looked uncertain last week, receiving kickoffs. First-round pick back in '94. He'll get an opportunity today as a wide receiver due to the injury suffered by Ike Hilliard. And there's Tyrone Wheatley, who also is looking for an opportunity, playing behind Tiki Barber. Ike Hilliard, first-round draft pick, out 6 to 7 weeks with a neck injury. Giants and the Ravens met in preseason. Giants beat the Ravens 21-20. Ravens played very poorly. In fact, did not have a good preseason.
Well, and talking about confidence, you mentioned it, Marv. Dave Brown talked about Thomas Lewis, Tyrone Wheatley, and himself.
And a deep kick. Lewis lets it fly by, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And here comes Dave Brown, who would like to turn it from last week. Never in rhythm, had a poor game, just 16 of 35, 182 yards. Not much help up front, though. A poor performance by the offensive line. Only Roman Oven, the second-year man from Louisville at left tackle, received praise from the coaches. He was one of the bright spots. Barber and Way, the running backs. Callaway, Lewis, and Cross are the receivers. The Giants from their 20-yard line. And Brown goes sideline. Aaron Pierce, who's been a forgotten man to this point in the Jim Fussell offense, comes up with his first catch of the season, met by Stevan Moore, the strong safety. Look at that front four. Rob Burnett, a question mark because of a twisted knee, but appeared to be all right in the warm-ups. Michael McCrary, the one-time Seahawk, who had 13.5 sacks a year ago. Barber got the call. Stopped by the left defensive tackle, James Jones. And we talked earlier about the youthful linebacking trio of Boulware, Lewis, and Sharper, the youngest starting linebacking core in NFL history. Each are 22 years of age. It's a 3rd and 6 from the 24. We're just underway at Giant Stadium. And Brown had his pass incomplete. Good hit by Lewis to put the wallop on Barber.
Exactly, and they started out trying to get Dave Brown that confidence, Marv. They throw it to Aaron Pierce in a 2 tight end formation, get a quick good one there. They try to go to the short, reliable type pass to the running back, and Ray Lewis just lit him up completely. I mean, that ball is led right into coverage.
Familiar scenario. Last week, for the second straight week, the Giants had 6 3-and-out series, and here we go right here. Brad Maynard, rookie from Ball State, a question mark because of a strained hip flexor. Oh, it's muffed by Etheridge, but he tucked it last. It carried out of bounds, so the Ravens maintain possession. A 36-yard punt, and Ray Etheridge had problems. Obviously,
his arms are about 6 inches too short.
And there's not much you can do about that.
Not really. Run faster. Of course, I heard that a lot during my career.
So a 1st and 10 at the 44 for the Ravens. Baltimore Ravens played their first 2 games at home, losing to Jacksonville 28-27. And last week beat Cincinnati in that come-from-behind effort 23-10 at the good second half. And here's Vinny Testaverde with the time on 1st down, and he has the big tight end Eric Green at midfield, met by the right defensive end Chad Bretsky. And a look at that huge offensive line. They've had problems at center because of injuries to Wally Williams, and then the man who replaced him, Quentin Newyear, who is also out. So Leo Goaz has moved from left guard to center. Ben Cavill starting at his position. Testaverde, the quarterback. Biner, the lone deep back. And you see the receivers, they go double tight end or 3 wideouts for the most part. And you'll see the no huddle. This is Biner twisting his way for the 1st down. Stopped by Michael Strahan. The Giants up front with Strahan, Harris, Hamilton, and Bretsky. Strahan had that strong game against the Eagles opening day. Not much last week, though. Jesse Armstead is the defensive leader of the Giants. Felipe Sparks is back from the viral hepatitis, making his 97 debut. 1st down for the Ravens. And again, it is Biner. Ernest Biner, 35 years old in his 14th NFL season.
And he's got to be excited, too, about having a guy like Jay Graham joining him in the backfield, the rookie out of Tennessee. And what a great opportunity for Graham to learn from this guy, Ernest Biner, because Biner brings a lot of things to a football team, work ethic and whatnot. But the main thing he brings to this Baltimore offense, I think, is stability.
And the question is, how will the Ravens play it once Van Morris returns from that 4-game league-imposed suspension for violating the NFL substance abuse policy? The swing handled by Biner, and Biner broke tackles. Biner down to the 26-yard line, taken down by Michael Strahan. A 17-yard pass play.
Well, watch Cavell right there at left guard, and what he does, he's going to come out on the screen, and when he goes, he doesn't get a block, but it's the implied block. See, that's an implied block right there. The defensive back had to change his route to get away from Cavill's implied block.
A 1st down at the 26. Ravens on the move here in the early going. It's back to Biner. Jim Fossil was so upset with his club in the second half last week after the loss to Jacksonville. According to Will McDonough on the pregame show, during his report, Fossil was in a rage, and he said some of the players quit in the second half. He said that won't happen again.
You can't do that to anybody, especially a young coach trying to make this thing work. This is very much a front-running defense. If things go good, they're great. But if the offense struggles and plays go against them, they have a tendency to let down.
2nd and 6. Testaverde able to step up, throws end zone, touchdown. A wide open Derek Alexander, appeared to be Jason Sehorn, and you can hear the boos from the crowd. Derek Alexander, a big play guy, comes off a career high of 8 catches last week against Cincinnati.
Well, anytime you see a play like this, you have to wonder if it was man what happened or where was the help he thought. And you saw Sehorn, one of the better coverage corners, I believe, in the league, just flat lose track of Alexander and get beat.
And And the extra point by Stover. So Vinny Testaverde throwing his 5th touchdown pass of the season, and Baltimore up 7-0.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Malibu, Motor Trend 1997 Car of the Year, the brand spanking new Malibu, genuine Chevrolet. By MCI, is this a great time or what? By Sears Auto Center, we keep you rolling. And by Northwestern Mutual Life. Have you heard from the Quiet Company?
This the scene moments ago. 4 fighter jets from the U.S. Air Force following the introduction of players flying over Giant Stadium. And Thomas Lewis able to field it. Lewis working his way across the 20-yard line, picked up 19. Then he tops it on the stop, and we're joined on the sidelines by Len Berman. Let's go to Len.
Well, thanks, Marv. The first thing I thought of when I heard the Giants were hosting Baltimore was this. They called it the greatest game ever played, our NFL flashback. It was the 1958 NFL championship game, a 20-yard field goal by Baltimore's Steve Meyer at Yankee Stadium. The Giants and the Colts, and then in overtime, Alan Amici scored on the 1-yard plunge to give Baltimore the 23-17 win. It was the first NFL overtime game. Of course, Marv, things have changed. That Baltimore team now plays in Indianapolis. The Giants team now plays here in New Jersey. And I remember listening to that game on the radio because in those days, even sold-out championship games were not televised locally. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Marv calling the game in 1958.
Actually, Len, I believe it was Marty Glickman handling all the play-by-play. One of the most memorable games of all time in NFL history. Len going for the cheap humor, the easy line. Charles Way picked up a couple. James Jones tripped him up. A 7-0 Baltimore lead as Derek Alexander caught his first touchdown of the season. 6 plays, 56 yards on that Raven drive that went 3 minutes and 8 seconds. 2nd and 8 from the 42-yard line with 9.5 remaining in this opening quarter. And here's the pressure on Brown, who tried to set up the screen, and a penalty marker is down. We saw Donnie Brady coming on the blitz.
He gave that thing away from the very beginning. You could see him inching and just saying, "Here I come."
Referee, the veteran Bob McElwee in his 22nd season.
Defense, number 98, illegal hands to the face. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, at the very top of the screen coming up here is where the blitz is coming from, but 98, Tony Siragusa in the middle of the screen, and believe me, he takes up the better part of the middle of the screen. Hands into the face of Roman Oben, the left tackle. Yeah, well, it tells you a lot about the kind of guy Siragusa is and kind of a loose guy he is. He wears a Mickey Mouse t-shirt under his shoulder pads. Mickey Mouse for a 320-pound defensive tackle.
Right off the first down play on an end around, Tiki Barber. Run out by Peter Boulware. Getting back to Tony Siragusa. He says he likes wearing the colors of the Ravens, purple and black. He says it makes him look thinner.
I got news for him. He looks thinner in the dark, too, but it ain't going to change.
I know that Tony will appreciate those comments.
Hey, he's got a heck of a sense of humor. 2nd down and 3.
Siragusa, a local product out of Kenilworth, New Jersey. Off the play action, Brown couldn't find anyone, and Brown runs for the first down. Ray Lewis, the middle linebacker, made the stop.
Well, so far, Marv, we've seen a few things from the Giants' standpoint in this drive that are positives. Callaway gets a pass. You got to have it to Callaway. You got to get the ball out to Barber and let him run. And you got to have your quarterback, Dave Brown, be able to pull that thing down and make something happen. That was good coverage. That was not an incredibly intense pass rush, but it was a good decision by Dave Brown.
First down of the Baltimore 42. And it's back to the ground for Barber. Could not find the opening, and he's hit for a loss. Tiki Barber, forced out of the game last week with that muscle injury in his shoulder. Very elusive runner, good receiver, second-round draft pick out of Virginia, met by the combination of Burnett and Langham.
He bruised the bursa sac in his rotator cuff in his shoulder. He's wearing a brace on that right arm just so that shoulder can't get all the way back and hyperextend his arms. As it doesn't affect holding the ball or running with it or anything else, but it may affect his pass catching ability.
This the sixth play of the drive. Second down and 11. And the pass is dropped. It is ruled incomplete. Amani Toomer, who has been disappointing. Jim Fossil trying to figure out what's going on with both Toomer and Lewis, who now are receiving the opportunity because of the injury suffered by the rookie Hilliard.
You know, Marv, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I take Callaway out of the game. I make Dave Brown, who admits to having a little struggle with his confidence, go to Thomas Lewis, make him go to Amani Toomer, and prove to me he can beat me without the guy that he wants to get the ball to.
Well, Toomer left and Lewis right. Third and 11. Look out, here they come, and flags come flying.
Offside.
Well, Bob McElwee about to make the call. You can hear one of the officials say, hold it, leading to this discussion.
Number 58, offside, defense, unabated to the quarterback. 5 yards, repeat the down, third down.
Well, you've got Peter Boulware, number 58, on one side. You got McCrary, the free agent addition this year, at the top of the screen, and they're both going. You know why they're going early? They want to get off. They know both these Giants tackles, Oben and Gregg, have a real problem with speed rushers.
Scott Gregg did not play well last week against Jacksonville. The offensive line had its problems against the Jaguars. 3rd and 6. And Brown just to get it away, and again it's dropped. But this time it's Callaway who could not hold on.
He gets the ball out of the slot to Callaway, the guy he wants to get the ball to. They don't take him away, and he drops it. It was an excellent job up front done by McCrary. Almost got to Brown. Brown has the poise to hang in there. Hey, I watched that Jets-Giants preseason game, and Dave Brown showed a lot of confidence, and his receivers were dropping the ball all over the place. This is not how you get a confident start for your quarterback. He loses faith quickly.
And Maynard punting from the 47. Jermaine Lewis, who sat out last week with a knee problem, is the deep man. And this one carries in, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. A 38-yard punt by Brad Maynard. So the Ravens back to the offense when we return.
This is the NFL on NBC.
This Baltimore offense has gotten a lot of recognition for its firepower over the last year with Vinny Testaverde. But the key to the offense, even with Goaz and Cavill starting at guard, is the size and the bulk. This is an offensive line, not huge by a lot of standards, but they play big.
Miner tries the right side, stopped by the right defensive tackle, Keith Hamilton. Guys made it back from a knee injury.
And watch the right side with Blackshear and Brown. That is the biggest side of that line. And that's just a smush. I mean, that's not a pile drive or a huge
smush.
They just sort of smush that side of the defense. And if the linebacker doesn't have the proper pursuit, the smush turns into a huge run.
Was that Bill Walsh terminology from the days with the 49ers?
You can face a lawsuit trying to credit that to Bill Walsh.
And that pass a bit high, could not be handled by the one-time New York Jet Ryan Yarborough, covered by Percy Ellsworth. Sets up a 3rd down and 7. Yarborough, originally a 2nd-round pick of the Jets. He is a native of Baltimore. Vinny Testaverde, a native of Long Island. Born in Brooklyn, grew up in Elmont, attended Sewanaka High School. Said his sister handled all the ticket distribution for today's game. Had to round up 50 tickets for friends and family. And again, the movement leading to the penalty flags. Head coach Ted
Neutral zone infraction, number 77 defense. 5 yards, repeat the down, third down.
Well, that's the right defensive end, Chad Bratsky, called on the penalty.
And sometimes it isn't just the big guys on the other side. You saw the movement inside actually looked to be coming from the direction of Robert Harris, not Bratsky.
Nice couple of weeks for Chad. Last week had to face Tony Baselli of Jacksonville. Today it's the 6'8" Jonathan Ogden. Although Ogden says he's now 6'9", incidentally. He's still listed at 6'8".
Well, he's rounding up, he says. 6'8 3/4. He just takes the extra quarter bump.
Third down and 2 at the 28-yard line. And Biner is stopped short of the first down. Stopped by Strahan.
And very important now, Marv. You know, they told us in the meetings we can't over-enjoy our success. They've had a little success, and Strahan, 92 from the top of the screen, just comes inside. You saw from the backside Blackshear trying to pull out there. I mean, that was supposed to be a quick trap, but when you get that much leakage, a lineman has to decide which guy to quick trap and has to set people free.
Another New Jersey native, Greg Montgomery, back to punt. Toomer is the beat man. And Montgomery got the hang time leading to the fair catch. Good punt, 48 yards by Montgomery. 6 minutes left in the first. Ravens up 7-0. Well, in the 1950s, the Baltimore football tradition was founded on a dominating defensive front anchored by the likes of Gino Marchetti and Don Joyce, Art Donovan. Well, the Ravens taking pride in their defense this season. They've overhauled their defensive front since last year, trying to correct the team's most glaring weakness, and they've done quite a job, combined with the young linebacking crew, the veteran front four. Here's Barber. And a good second effort. Among the Giant injuries, we've mentioned Ike Hilliard. Rodney Hampton is out with a knee injury. The center, Brian Williams, an eye problem. Cedric Jones, sprained ankle. Felipe Sparks makes his return here today. But this Baltimore defense is what Ted Marchibroda is so proud of, the way they have been able to build this club in its second year of existence back in Baltimore. Charles Way, the intended receiver.
You know, really, for all the talk about the young guys, and granted, they're very good. If you look at this defense and what they've done, we talked about Saragusa coming in. McCrary's come in. They've got Rob Burnett. They've got Jones at defensive tackle. Inside, Lewis kind of plays like a veteran. They have veteran safety. So look at the heart of this defense that Marvin Lewis is really going to have a strong unit this year. It's a veteran group, a solid group, with youth on the edges sprinkled in.
Third down and 5. Brown got the protection, but he threw a floater. That got away over the head of Callaway, and Dave Brown is hearing the reaction from the crowd.
That was much closer to Ted Marchibroda than anybody else, and unfortunately he was about 20 yards from the nearest Giants receiver. Dave Brown has got to get a good start. You know, no one wants him to do it more than Jim Fossil, and no one needs him to do it more than Jim Fossil. If he does not play well in this first half, I think you've got to think about bringing in another quarterback to get this offense jump-started.
Fossil admitted, as you see Maynard take the high snap and get it away, Etheridge is back and handles the fair catch. Admitted he thought of going to Danny Cannell late in the Jacksonville game last week, but he felt as long as the rest of the offense was not playing well, he didn't want to pull Brown, so he did not. But Cannell is certainly waiting in the wings here today. Marv Albert, Randy Cross, Len Berman, Giant Stadium in the New Jersey Meadowlands. Ravens with a 7-0 lead as we approach 5 minutes left. In the first quarter, Ravens start out from their 23-yard line. And a handoff to Jay Graham, who just checked in. Graham, the rookie from Tennessee, was stopped behind the line by Michael Strahan. Graham, a very impressive-looking first-year player. Guy who has breakaway speed, and we'll be seeing more and more of Jay Graham.
For less and less yards, if he gets that kind of support from his guys up front. A nice play by Strahan, building off of success. Remember, don't over-enjoy your early success. This is a critical series from the Giants defense. They've had a little success. Build on it.
Second and 14. Back to Graham. And the same scenario. Stopped behind the line, this time by Jason Sehorn. Right here, let's check in for an update with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marv, a lot of pressure on former Atlanta quarterback Jeff George coming back in a Raider uniform, so Napoleon Kaufman helps remove a lot of that pressure with the ground game. By the time all is said and done, this is a 61-yard touchdown to wipe out a 7-0 Atlanta lead. With the extra point, the Raiders and the Falcons are tied at 7, Marv.
All right, thanks, Greg. Former Giant head coach Dan Reeves, now the head man for Atlanta. And this Giant crowd getting excited by the defensive play. 3rd down, 16. Testaverde in trouble. Down he goes. Keith Hamilton with the sack. It's his 3rd of the season.
Don't over-enjoy your successes, but right now, I think you can just sort of savor what you've done as a defense. You've attacked with Strahan on one play. You've blitzed with Sehorn off the slot on the one play. You bring Sehorn again on Vinny's backside and make him run into Keith Hamilton, into the pressure. If you're Fox, John Fox, the defensive coordinator, you're smiling upstairs right now.
Montgomery will punt from deep in his end zone. Toomer at midfield. And a good punt by Montgomery, a beauty. Here comes Toomer. Could not find the blocking, and he's taken down. Advanced only 6 after a 51-yard punt by Greg Montgomery. Well, you can follow the NFL season online at NBCSports.com this week. Brett Favre and Dan Marino will be analyzed. The two quarterbacks will be compared at similar stages throughout their careers. Also an interview with Kent Graham, one-time Giant backup, who led the Cardinals to that exciting overtime win over the Cowboys last Sunday. Plus, you can vote in the poll which asks who is the best young pass rusher in the league, all at NBCSports.com. First down from midfield, and Brown's pass is caught. Inside the 40, caught by Thomas Lewis, his first reception of the day, met by Antonio Langham.
And so far, two 3-and-outs and punts, a category that they led the NFL in last year. And take a look. I detect a right-sided trend here, Marv.
Yeah. A trend that Jim Fossa would like to reverse. 2nd and about a yard at the 39. And the first down collected by Tiki Barber. Tackled by Peter Boulware. Peter Boulware last year led the nation with 19 sacks. 32 sacks overall at Florida State in 13 starts. Actually, he was a teammate of Danny Cannell at Florida State.
And Tiki Barber told a great story last year about trying to help a little on a block on Boulware. He says Boulware was being blocked. He juked me, juked the guy that I was trying to block him with, and he made a sack.
First down from the 37. This time Brown had the time, but that pass was off the mark. Intended for the fullback, Charles Way, who is a good receiver. Way covered by Brady.
Well, to tell you something about this offense so far in 1997 in their execution level, Way, a fullback, has the longest play by this offense, 62 yards in the opener against Philadelphia. But you throw a ball out there in front of a fullback that far, he's not going to get 62 yards. He's going to get about 62 inches of body and defensive back right into his face.
2nd and 10 at the 37. And it's Barber finding the hole. Stephon Moore made the tackle.
And that's the kind of spark, that jump from the get-go. Watch the blocking open up, but more importantly, watch that acceleration. So many of these great backs you see are guys that can get over and go. I've loved for years watching Marcus Allen. Tiki Barber, by no stretch, is a great back, but he shows flashes of those abilities of some great ones.
3rd down and 1. And Barber into the middle of the pack. Giants feel they have the first down.
That's the part of his game that he showed, Marv, that's a little bit different. You know, honestly, this guy was drafted as a 3rd down type back, a change of pace guy, if you will. And he's showed that ability and willingness to go inside and make those kind of runs.
Yes, his reputation is as an elusive runner, good receiver, and a cutback type guy. And he's been getting much more playing time than expected because of the knee injury suffered by Rodney Hampton.
Hey, guess who the first guy he mentions in our conversation, though? He says, how about Warwick Dunn? Another one of those little guys they say can't run all the times. And Tiki Barber got that first down, and Warwick Dunn last week, all he did was have a fabulous game. 120 yards in the first half.
Looks like Barber was shaken up, playing with that shoulder problem, and Tyrone Wheatley has come on. So a rare opportunity early in a game for Wheatley. Wheatley has had 1 carry for 6 yards this season. That's been it. Brown able to stand it again, but a short pass. Handled by Callaway, met by the middle linebacker Lewis. Callaway's second reception, but it's good for only 4.
Now here's what Dave Brown needs. Watch the pass protection. Granted, if you look at a few of these blocks being performed, they're more wrestling holds than blocks. But you've got to give Dave Brown that kind of time. He doesn't need the face pressure, the stuff up there quick, and on that play he didn't get it. That's the kind of job the line needs to do more consistently.
The line anchored by Derek Engler, rookie from Wisconsin, playing for the injured Ryan Williams. Completed again. Toomer with the cutback. Giants have a first down. Donnie Brady on the tackle. Amani Toomer has a first down at the 12.
Yeah, Amani Toomer, a great punt returner in college at Michigan. You couldn't tell in the crowd here at Giant Stadium if that was a yay or where's that been in unison, because that is the reason you want to get the ball to Amani Toomer. Is he a huge game breaker? No, but he runs with the ball after the catch well.
Giants have been successful inside the 20 of that red zone. 10 seconds left in the quarter. Brown off the roll. Marker is down. Callaway covers it up in the end zone, but a penalty marker is down.
They're going to mark him down just short of the goal line too, Marv. That knee went down just short, but they couldn't quite, the Ravens that is, just could not quite get Mike Frederick off the field.
Penalty is declined. First and end of the quarter.
So that is the end of the first quarter, as you mentioned. The knee was down just inside the 1-yard line. So that is where we will resume when we come back as the second quarter gets underway.
Right there in the spotlight is Mike Frederick, number 94. That's why the flag was thrown. Just 12 men on the field. Couldn't quite get it done before the snap. But watch Callaway's knee and watch the ball where it is.
Rob Zadiska has reported in as an extra tight end, but Brown on a quarterback sneak as the second quarter gets underway. No indication from the officials.
Quarterback's got to be part groundhog right here and just hope he can come up on the other side of the goal line.
Dave Brown thus far 6 of 12 for 58 yards, and it is inches away.
Yeah, well, one more time here. Watch the end. There's the knee, there's the ball. Great call by the officials, and that is very much a bang, bang. See, there's the ball, and as he's reaching, he's already down. That's why this ball is short of the goal line.
This the 10th play of the drive. And now Barber is able to bring it over the goal line for the touchdown. Tiki Barber with his 3rd TD of the season.
And more importantly, from Jim Fossil's in the whole offensive standpoint, they wanted to get more long drives. They said, it's kind of funny, but we score too quickly. I don't think there's any such thing as scoring too quickly, but he says we want long drives to eat up the clock, and that's exactly what he just got right there.
So the Giants' red zone proficiency continues. And here's Brad DeLuiso attempting to tie the game. DeLuiso with the kick block. We'll take another look at that when we come back. Giants down by 1.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. By Staples, the office superstore. By Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. And by Gateway 2000, personalized computers shipped factory direct.
A look from above Giants Stadium, the MetLife Limp. Snoopy won under the command of captains Russ Adams and Charlie Graham. This year, Snoopy proud to celebrate his 10th anniversary as, of course, Randy, co-pilot of the MetLife Limp. That was the first ever miss on an extra point attempt by Brad DeLuiso. The block by Rob Burnett. And the Ravens will stay right there. Ray Etheridge staying in the end zone.
Middle of your screen, number 90 right there. Look at Burnett. He gets Stone, Ron Stone, number 65, to commit the cardinal sin. That's to go forward on a PAT field goal. You go forward, you create a gap. He took advantage of the gap. And, you know, DeLuiso gets credited or discredited for the miss, but absolutely not the kicker or snapper or holder's fault.
He had been 63 for 63 in a 7-year NFL career. DeLuiso also had to work this week as the backup punter because Maynard a question mark with the sprained hip flexor. So the Ravens have a 7-6 lead. 30 seconds gone by in the second quarter. Dangerous pass. Eric Green in heavy traffic, able to come up with his second reception. A reminder, Third Rock from the Sun is moving to NBC Wednesday this week with a special 1-hour episode. One more reason that makes Wednesday must-see TV on NBC.
Hey, you mentioned, Marv, that was a dangerous pass by Vinny Testaverde. Eric Green makes it a little bit less dangerous because of his girth, his width. He's a lot bigger target than most tight ends in there.
6'5", 285 pounds. And again, Graham not able to accelerate. Keith Hamilton with the reps. Jay Graham has had a tough time. That's his third carry, but not able to get much. Last week, his NFL debut, he ran for 73 yards, including his first NFL touchdown.
Well, obviously, that tongue lashing that the defense received last week from Coach Fossil is sunk in a little bit because they're attacking. They're maintaining that enthusiasm and effort level and not letting down.
Michael Jackson split wide left side, top of your screen. Derek Alexander to the right. And Testaverde finds Alexander, who has a first down. He was met by Sparks. That giant drive for the touchdown. 10 plays, 49 yards. They had the ball 4 minutes and 2 seconds, but still, because of the block, extra point trail by 1. And the block, as we mentioned, by Rob Burnett, who has been limping on and off the field. He comes back from reconstructive knee surgery, twisted his knee in practice this week, but came up with that big play to stop the extra point attempt by DeLuiso. An audible called by Testaverde. Goes to the other side, incomplete. Again, looking for Alexander. Covered by Thomas Randolph.
Very important against Vinny Testaverde's offense. If you're a defensive team and defensive coordinator, you've got to be very patient. They are going to make plays. But the more important thing you've got to keep remembering is Vinny Testaverde and this offense will give you opportunities to make plays. They're going to let you catch some footballs because Vinny will put the ball up for grabs and where it doesn't belong.
2nd and 10 from the 34. Here's the draw for Graham. And a flag comes flying. And some extracurricular activity. Robert Harris involved.
And just the kind of thing that the Giants defense was drawn into last week that distracted them. They don't need this. Turn around, walk back to your huddle. If you want to hit somebody, hit them between the whistles.
Between the whistles.
It hurts worse when you hit them between the whistles.
Yes, Robert Harris and Leo Goaz got involved. Penalty, though, is against Baltimore.
Baltimore, this offense, for that great start Vinny Testaverde and his offense got off to, only 1 first down for Ted Marchibroda's offense since then.
And no announcement on that flag.
Well, I think Bob McElwee just assumed we all knew it was wrong. No need to really be rude about this and embarrass someone's family.
Well, it is a 2nd and 20 at the 24. And this time a procedure call on Blackshear.
False start. 5 yards, 2nd down.
I think Bob felt on that last one he had made the announcement.
And these have been composure fouls so far by Ted Marchibotto's offensive line. I mean, this is purely concentration. You've had Cobble on one side, and you've had Blackshear on the other side, just flat starting before their quarterback's ready to get the ball.
4th penalty assessed on the Ravens. Only one on the Giants. And the Ravens are going in the opposite direction at this point. 2nd down, 25. Back at their 19.
Great blitz opportunity.
And off the swing, Graham. Again, unable to find much running room. Tripped up by Jesse Armstead. We'll check in with Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Marv, at Green Bay, it took the Packers until early in the 2nd quarter to finally get on the board. Brett Favre, 2 yards to Antonio Freeman to overcome 2 Miami field goals. And right now, it's a 7-6 Packer lead over the Dolphins, Marv.
All right, thanks, Greg. Packers trying to turn it after the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Team the Giants knocked off convincingly on opening day, 31-17, and then played so poorly last week against the Jaguars. 3rd and 22, and Testaverde fires downfield, and it is broken up. Leaping attempt by Michael Jackson, covered by Thomas Randolph.
You know, that's just the situation Baltimore wanted, was getting Jackson away from Sehorn. Sehorn's a very good jumper, but watch the job that Randolph does. Stays right with him, and at the very end, does the great reach around with that right arm. His defensive back coach, Johnny Lynn, emphasizes that don't reach around with the off arm, get that inside arm, reach across the body, and get the ball out.
Randolph at 5'9", going against the 6'4" Jackson. So here's Montgomery punting. Amani Toomer calling for the fair catch, and a flag is dropped. It's a 41-yard punt by Montgomery. We have 10:50 to go. In this first half, it's the Ravens with a 7-6 lead on the Giants.
Invalid fair catch signal, number 89 on the receiving team.
Yes,
that's a 5-yard penalty. It'll be 1st down.
Toomer indecisive, so it's a invalid fair catch. He wasn't certain as to what he was going to do. A capacity crowd better than 78,000 at Giants Stadium as we resume the Giants' 1st down from their 33-yard line. Tyrone Wheatley is in the backfield. It's an end around. Callaway could not find the opening and hit behind the line by the right corner, Donnie Brady. So Jim Fossil going for some chicanery.
Well, when you do this, you need the defensive end, McCrary, 99, to bite. Well, no bite there. And the backside corner, Brady has got to commit more to the other side than that. That was an excellent defensive responsibility. Everybody thinks that defense is running around helter-skelter like a nut. You've got to have your responsibilities.
Here's Brown on 2nd down. Callaway with the catch out of the 38-yard line, short of the 1st down. Webster and Lewis making the stop. Here's number 98, Tony Siragusa, who, as we mentioned, is from Kenilworth, New Jersey.
Was taking the better part of the team out to dinner last night, or at least giving them advice on where to do their fine dining.
Always an interesting guy to chat with. Quickly made the point that Dave Brown is from nearby Westfield, New Jersey. Tony also made the point we have to hit him early and hard to disrupt him. A flag down off the deflection. Deron Jenkins with the intercept.
It's Siragusa jumping off sides. It's sort of ironic you're talking about him at the time, but he got a little early start on the snap.
Offside, so they're going to accept defense.
for an early dinner. He's off to the races. 98, Syracuse in the middle of your screen.
First down.
So it is a third down. Now check that, a first down, a first and 10 at the 38-yard line.
You know, Syracuse has really brought that stability and kind of it's funny when you talk to Tony, you don't think of him as a calming veteran leadership because he is a little bit off the wall, but he's really brought that to Marvin Lewis's defense.
Nice play action, and then Brown could not find anyone and had to throw it away. Thomas Lewis in the area. Good rush by McCrary. For more on Tony Siragusa, let's check in with Len Berman. Len?
Well, Marv, he has his own private cheering section here at the game today. In fact, this was the scene earlier this morning outside Giant Stadium. It's Goose's gang. They've got their own RV. It's shepherded by Mom and Tony's two brothers. They have 100 friends and relatives. They go to every home game in Baltimore, most road games. The food is plentiful. They feed teammates after the game. In fact, they've invited you guys down for a free meal afterwards. The operative word on that being free. Marv, Randy.
Thanks. Something that Randy can relate to. Tony Siragusa signed as a free agent from Indianapolis with the Colts for 5 years. Third down and 8 off the run by Tyrone Wheatley. So Tyrone Wheatley getting a little bit more than his usual cameo here in the first half. 8:45 remaining in the half. And the pass is caught by Amani Toomer. Beautiful catch, able to hang on despite the pressure from the right corner, Donnie Brady, and it's good for 29 yards.
When you use the term mid-air adjustments, it usually has to do with an airplane, but Amani Toomer does a mid-air adjustment as he turns for that ball. He's got to keep twisting and move the body and catch that ball over Brady, who never turns back for the ball. It's always interesting when I watch a corner that never turns back. It's almost like, heaven forbid, you might catch it.
And Wheatley trying to put on a stutter step move. Stopped by Michael McCrary and Mike Frederick. We did check with the Giant sideline on Tiki Barber, who looked to be shaken up earlier, but the feeling is he's okay. Jim Fossil is giving Tyrone Wheatley an opportunity. Second down and 8 at the 24-yard line. Dave Brown is now 8 of 15, 94 yards. Ravens 7. And the Giants 6, 7.5 to go, first half. Brown with the swing. Again, the marker down. Charles Way made the catch and was hit immediately by Antonio Langham.
That flag was unanimous. Not only did the head linesman throw it, but also the referee, Bob McElwee. I don't know if we're going to get an announcement or not. Bob probably, but they're going back that way because that's the way he's pointing.
Holding, number 72, offense. 10 yards, second down.
That's the left tackle, Roman Oben, called on the penalty. Looking ahead, next Sunday, NFL action will continue with a doubleheader beginning 12 noon Eastern time with the NFL on NBC. And then in game 1 of the Twin Bill, Jeff George and the Raiders take on the New York Jets, or you'll see the Ravens battle the Oilers. And then in game 2 of the doubleheader, the Bengals facing John Elway and the Denver Broncos, or the Colts and the Bills. Check your local listings for the games in your area. Second and 18 from the 34. And Brown's been getting the time. Barber with the catch. Beautiful move by Tiki Barber. Works his way inside the 20. He's short of a first down. He was tackled by Siragusa, but he picked up the additional yardage, and that's a 14-yard pass play.
Now this is good play calling by Jim Fossil. Watch the execution by the entire offense. Tiki Barber slips through almost like a fake draw, and when he does, that sets up a one-on-one situation with the middle linebacker Ray Lewis, and Ray Lewis leaves some socks, a pair of shoes, and maybe any partials or dentures he may have on the ground.
And on a third down and 3, the penalty markers are thrown.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 78 offense. 5 yards, third down.
Oh, the Giants are upset. It's called on the left guard, Greg Bishop. It has not been a first half of artistry in terms of the quality of football that we have seen.
But it's a kind of game from a pace standpoint and the way it's going that Jim Fossil and the Giants can win. They can't get into a scoring contest with Vinny Testaverde in this Baltimore offense. And the Giants defense has stifled that offense since the first drive. They need it to be a low-scoring game to have a chance to win this one.
3rd and 8 at the 25. Lewis to the right and Toomer to the left. Brown finds the fullback way, pulls away, breaks a tackle, and then is hauled down. Siragusa involved, along with Lewis, middle linebacker, and Jenkins.
Well, so much effort there by Charles Way to get out of that first tackle, only to receive a face full of goose and a defensive back for his efforts afterwards.
So here's Brad DeLuiso, who had his extra point attempt blocked earlier for the first time in his NFL career. This will be a 41-yard field goal attempt. He's 1 of 2 on the season. He missed from 44. He's hit from 39. And it is no good. It has been a tough first half for DeLuiso. 5:23 to go in the half. Ravens still up by 1.
Well, Marv, you mentioned that Jim Fossil had some prime words last week for his team after that Jacksonville game. Well, while we were away, here's some choice words of direction Mr. Fossil giving his offensive line after that last series.
We're unhappy with the offensive line last week against Jacksonville. And a flag is thrown as Michael Jackson was involved with Thomas Randolph.
And don't always assume this is on the defense when this happens by the sideline, especially with a big physical receiver like Michael Jackson.
Defensive pass interference, number 23. Automatic first down.
Picking on the little guy again, Marv.
Well, Thomas Randolph, who made the good play on Jackson despite that mismatch that is not in his favor, made the good play earlier. This time is called for interference.
And if it happened before that right there. I mean, that was a fine example of how a cornerback should cover a receiver, a taller receiver by the sideline.
Ravens first down at the Giant 48. As we come up on 5 minutes left first half, Ravens lead the Giants 7-6. And Testimony has a wide open Michael Jackson. Jackson, realizing that no one had put him down, able to get up and pick up a couple more. Gets inside the 15. That's good for 34 yards.
Well, Marv, you remember back, hit him between the whistles. Well, you've had a whistle before, and, you know, you slip a little like Randolph. He gets the catch. Well, you haven't heard a whistle, and this is not 2 hands below the waist. This is do travel his momentum to the ground, preferably if you can, and no playing between the whistles.
Well, Michael Jackson, who had 6 catches a week ago against Cincinnati, although he did cough one up, comes up with his second big play in a row, and a first down at the 14-yard line. Testaverde getting the time, throwing end zone, and another flag is down. Again, interference. The free safety, Tito Wooten, involved with the tight end Eric Green in the end zone.
And what happens at the end of a play like this? You've got a tight end trying to get around a safety.
Pass interference, number 29 defense. Automatic first down.
And you get a normal tight end trying to get around a safety, it's a challenge. You get the kind of a rolling safe with feet trying to get around a safety, you're going to get contact. And if you get a contact and enough of it, the back judge sees the hold, and that's what happened to Tito Wooten.
It is a first and goal at the 1-yard line. Some confusion here by the Giants. And apparently they had too many men on the field, and they have to call for a timeout. You saw Wooten hit to the sideline, then hit back. And it leads to the timeout called by the Giants.
There's Tito Wooten, there's Green. Watch at the very end what happens, and the Baltimore Ravens are ready to go.
It is a first and goal at the 1-yard line. And it's Graham they are able to stop Jay Graham.
And how'd they get there? Wooten, Green, watch right about there, a grab. It's not very much, but you can just tell Eric Green's body starts to turn right there as he's reaching for the ball. That left hand of Wooten gets on Eric Green, and it's right in front of the back judge.
Now Kenyon Cotton in front of Jay Graham. Again, it's Graham diving. Still no indication from the official. There was a Raven player who indicated touchdown, but Graham came up short. Stopped by Pete Monty, and it will be a 3rd and goal.
That is a lead fullback going to the air, in your face defensive play, Marv. I mean, this is what training camp is all about, learning these types of techniques. That is a team effort by the entire Giants defense, but especially, like you said, Pete Monty right over the top.
Monty, the rookie from Wisconsin. Giant defense urged on by the crowd. Once again, it's Graham off the play fake, and Testaverde firing. Incomplete. Graham went into the line on the play action.
Oh, John Fox, the defensive coordinator, has got to look at this as a great example of it's not how you handle the great plays early, but how do you handle your failures and your bad plays. And his defense bows up after a couple of bad plays, and it's decision time for Ted Marchibroda and the Ravens.
It is a 4th and goal, inches away, and the Ravens will take their first timeout.
The important thing to watch is not only the play fake, right inside Jay Graham not selling it that hard. That's why the defense doesn't bite. You get the practice, but look at Bradsky, the defensive end, back in coverage. Tito Wooten had that penalty called on him. That's why they got there, and it's like, oh, man, please be a field goal. Worst case.
Bradsky was covering the backup tight end, Brian Kinchin.
A mismatch, maybe?
Chad Bradsky, the right defensive end, who goes 6'4", 285 pounds in the pass coverage. And
this Ravens team, Marv, has rushed for just a little over 10 yards, 10, 11 yards so far. I don't like this decision. The Giants defense is playing stout. I think you kick a field goal, and you just do it right here.
So the Ravens go for it. 4th and inches. And again, it's Graham diving. Touchdown.
That was close.
They kept pounding away, and Graham went the right side and just did get the ball over the plane of the goal line.
Well, watch this. This is about a 1.5-foot defense on a play that needed to be stopped.
Oh,
yeah. You know, 2 feet. And watch the ball extend. I mean, it was easily over. This angle here looked a lot closer than it was, and Jay Graham gets over with the jump, and then to add more points to the argument.
And here's Matt Stover with the extra point. 3:12 left in this first half, and the Ravens now lead 14-6.
And poor Tito Wooten, that celebration earlier. No, Tito, you are not off the hook.
It was the pass interference in the end zone by Wooten. 5 plays, 69 yards in 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So the Ravens now lead by 8. Welcome back to Giants Stadium. Marv Albert, Randy Cross, and Len Berman. Let's check in with Len.
Rob Burnett has been limping around the Ravens bench area. He's re-injured his right knee. They'll check him out in the locker room at halftime to see if he can return for the second half. Burnett will not be in there for the final 3 minutes, 12 seconds of this first half. Mark?
All right, thanks, Len. Yes, Rob Burnett has made it back from knee surgery, twisted his knee during the course of the week. He's been in and out of the lineup here this afternoon. And apparently a timeout called by the Ravens
30-second
on a kickoff.
I have never seen that. Benny Thompson, the star special teams player for the Baltimore Ravens, was absolutely having a fit.
They had only 10 players on the field.
Kick it anyway. You don't waste a timeout. I mean, it's just amazing. Special teamers don't care. They'd cover it with 6. Benny's the kind of guy that could cover it by himself. That is a major, major brain fade by the special teams of the Baltimore Ravens.
Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that.
So
first thing I do is go to the ref and go, we're not quite ready. Can we just hold this off for a few seconds?
And now they are set, so they waste a timeout. Ravens down to 1 timeout left. The kick by Stover was taken by one of the upmen, Charles Way. And he brings across the 30-yard line. Cornell Brown on the stop. A 14-yard return by Way. A reminder, join us next Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Pacific, for a full-hour preview of golf's premier international team competition, the Ryder Cup. An inside look at this year's play led by Tiger Woods. The Americans looking to reclaim the cup from the Europeans. All a prelude to NBC's coverage of the Ryder Cup, September the 27th and 28th. It is Brown completing short range. And that gets rumbles from the crowd. Amani Toomer on the catch, met immediately by Ray Lewis, picked up just 3. That's the 9th tackle this first half by middle linebacker Ray Lewis.
That is why they're so excited about Ray Lewis, his leadership. We talked about him being 22 years old. I mean, they call him the old man in the linebacking corps, the way he acts. He acts older than his years.
Little flip to Barber. And Tiki fumbles. What a Terry out of bounds. Giants fortunate right there as he put it on the ground, but it landed out of bounds.
Well, it's an interesting technique. I also haven't seen this, Marv. If you throw the ball up in the defender's face, he won't try to hit you as hard. Of course, the ball might go to the other team.
Right. And it is a 3rd down and 6. The Baltimore Ravens looking for their first ever win on the road. This is the first of 3 straight games on the road. Next week at Tennessee, and then they play at San Diego. Last time this club won on the road, or actually the Cleveland Browns, that was in Cincinnati, October of '95. Although those records do not count as Raven records. Charles Way has a first down. And again, it's Ray Lewis, who is now in double figures. Tackle number 10. 2 minutes left in this first half. Well, coming up on the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report, join Greg Gumbel and Chris Collinsworth and Sam Weish as they get you caught up on the scores and highlights from around the NFL. Also a Bob Costas interview with Brett Favre. Those of you who saw the pregame show saw a touching feature on Jim Kelly's young son. And my thoughts are with Jim and his family. Tiki Barber, met by Deron Jenkins. That is the 3rd catch made by Barber. Picked up just 3, a 2nd and 7.
On the defensive side of the ball, Marv, Rondell Jones is down on the sideline. They got his backup number 20, Kim Herring, into the ball game.
Told by Len Berman it is a knee problem suffered by the free safety Rondell Jones. And here's Brown again getting the time, and once again going up high, but a marker down. Interference against the Ravens. The pass intended for Callaway.
Hey, it doesn't take much. I mean, in the NBA, you see all the time, Marv, just those little pushes down under the basket. A lot of the times, just a little push down around the hip area.
Defensive pass interference, number 22, first down.
And that is Dorian Brew, a backup defensive back, called for the interference.
The slot receiver running there, Callaway. There's Dorian Brew, gets that left hand, and that was not a subtle bump on the hip. That was a pretty blatant grab on the left shoulder.
The Giants provided with a first down at the Baltimore 34. The Ravens 14 and the Giants 6. Now Brown to the other side. Catch made by Thomas Lewis, and that will stop the clock. It's good for 13. 2nd reception of the day for Lewis, and another Giant first down.
And very importantly for Dave Brown, another fine job by the offensive line, and his receiver gets the feet down. Something that a lot of receivers at times tend to forget, especially in this type of situation. Inside the 2-minute, they're so concentrating on making the catch, they forget about it.
First down at the 22. The screen for Barber. Oh, nice moves again by Tiki Barber getting inside the 15. James Jones tripped him up.
James Jones came all the way from the inside, reacting to that first pump fake. Nice pump fake, selling the screen to the other side by Dave Brown, and then going back to the other direction by Tiki Barber.
It is close to the marker, and here come the yardsticks. Giants will try to go into the hurry up, but stopped on the measurement, and they're just inches away from a first down. Meanwhile, Dave Brown has completed his last 9. He is 16 of 23, 145 yards.
And what he does as a red zone passer, I mean, that's some pretty elite company. Anytime any list is started with the name Dan Marino, and you're not too far from that name, it says a lot for what you've done. And especially today, what he's done is he's got off to that confident start. We saw him early miss a couple of passes that his guys maybe should have had, but it's been a confident Dave Brown in the first half.
A minute 15 remaining in the half. And Palmer took a good pop as he picked up the first down. Ray Lewis able to get the shoulder into Tiki Barber.
Well, you remember that play with the little quick flip pass where Ray Lewis was faked out by Tiki Barber earlier, where they faked the draw? That's the exact same play, except they gave it to him this time, and Lewis didn't miss.
And it's a first and goal from the 10. Brown lofting for the end zone. Crowd was looking for an interference. Thomas Lewis involved with Donnie Brady, but that was actually thrown away by Brown.
And not to sound too, 70-ish here, but the defensive back is also entitled to his space. Can't go through his space, and that's what he was trying to do.
I don't think anybody would accuse you of sounding 70-ish.
Deja vu all over again, I guess. I'm Marv, going back to the 70s.
All right, 9th play of the drive. 48 seconds remaining in the half. Hit down immediately, and apparently it's called a completed pass, and he was down. He was taken down by Jenkins.
Hey, it's also going to buy Tiki Barber a conversation with that man, Jim Fossil, at halftime. He's got one fumble that went out of bounds. Made that catch right there, and it was a catch, but it was dropped after the catch. Hold the ball.
And now the Giants call for time with 23 seconds remaining in the half. So both teams with one timeout remaining. And when we resume, the Giants have a 3rd and a goal back of the 12-yard line. Ravens with a 14-6 lead, a Testaverde 22-yard touchdown to Alexander for a 7-0 lead. A touchdown run by Barber, took it in from a yard out, and the extra point was blocked for the first time in the NFL career by DeLuiso. DeLuiso missed a 41-yard field goal attempt, and the Ravens took the lead on a 1-yard plunge by Jay Graham. They finally pounded it home on a 4th and goal from inside the 1. The Baltimore Ravens at 1 up and 1 down, trying to win the first road game in the history of the franchise. This is their 2nd season following the move from Cleveland. And the Giants come in at 1 up and 1 down. The win over the Eagles and the loss to the Jaguars. 3rd down play. Brown throwing deep into the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Toomer.
The flag down now. A late flag, Marv.
Donnie Brady on the coverage, and the Ravens upset because of the delay in throwing that flag.
And a nice play call by Jim Fossil, because Brown goes, Dave Brown pumps as he's going to almost going to Callaway in the slot.
Pass interference, number 28. in the end zone. First down on the 1-yard line.
And this is called basically at the end, like they said, extremely late. There is no 28. You got to assume maybe it's 38 Antonio Langham, but the contact is made before the ball, and it is Donnie Brady, number 24, right there.
So with 17 seconds, a first and goal at the 1. And here's Brown throwing to Way, touchdown. Charles Way on the touchdown pass to bring the Giants within 2, and they will go for the 2-point conversion, gunning for the tie. Giants 0 for 1 in the 2-point conversion category. And a timeout is called, so the Giants using their last timeout of the half.
Well, after that great play call by Jim Fossil and his staff on the last play that drew the penalty, I think the defense was just letting down a little bit for Baltimore. It was a concentration lapse, enjoyed immensely by Dave Brown, because you're just sneaking that fullback right into the flat off the get-go. You're hoping one of those young linebackers loses track of the fullback. It's exactly what happened.
How about Dave Brown on first down, 11 of 13 for 97 yards and the touchdown. Dave Brown looking to turn things from the poor performance a week ago, and continues to do the job in the red zone. We're down to 14 seconds left in the half. Giants going for 2, seeking to tie the game at 14. Callaway is to the right, Lewis left. The lone deep back is Barber. Cross in motion. Brown off the roll, throwing, and threw it too high for Callaway.
Too high, too hard, but you know, Jim Fossil in that situation teaches his quarterback, if you're going to gun it on this type of a play, you've got to gun it where your guy can get it. Jim Fossil saying we're 0 for 1, but this will be the one that breaks the ice, but I guess not.
So with 14 seconds left in the half, we'll take a short break. Well, it has been a most unusual first half. We've certainly seen our share of penalties. We had a timeout call just before a kickoff attempt, that taken by the Ravens. Ravens have a 14-12 lead, and DeLuiso puts it on the ground, handled by Brew, and he works his way up to the 25-yard line. The clock is stopped with 8 seconds remaining in the first half. Pete Monty, 4th-round pick out of Wisconsin, makes the stop.
Hey, this whole first half, and we have seen some ugly football, Marv. I'm most impressed with Dave Brown. Dave Brown, 18 of 26, 142 yards, a touchdown. I mean, 26
Here we go, Vinny,
in the first half, and the confidence that he has shown is completely contrary to the Dave Brown we talked to on Friday. He seems so down, so like, well, gee, I better do something. Well, so far in this first half, at least, I wouldn't celebrate yet, but he has done something.
But the Giants trailing by 2 points. Ravens run it out, so that is the end of the first half. Giants trailing off the missed extra point attempt by DeLuiso, actually a block, and then they were not able to convert on the 2-point conversion. So the score at the half, Ravens 14, Giants 12. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel in New York right after this. 15 first downs to the Ravens 8. And the Giants have certainly done it in the statistical department.
Well, neither team blazing the ball, obviously, on the ground. Jay Graham for Baltimore, 4 carries for -6 yards. But the Giants and Dave Brown have passed the ball effectively.
All right, DeLuiso with the kickoff. Etheridge on the return. And gets across the 20-yard line. You mentioned the throwing of Dave Brown, 18 of 26, 142 yards, on pace to set a personal record, his career high 50 attempts in a single game.
Well, you know, if he gets those 50, it means the Giants are down by 10 points.
Yes.
So if you're a Giants fan, you're wishing not. And if you're a Baltimore fan in this game so far, you're hoping for something, you know, other than kind of a Lee expedition. It's been kind of ugh and home so far for the Baltimore team. They've gotten 2 touchdowns, but it's been very much in the unartistic manner.
Baltimore Ravens coming off the impressive showing last week, come from behind win over Cincinnati after they lost their opening game by 1 point to Jacksonville. And here's Ernest Biner, who's back in there. We saw quite a bit of Jake Graham in the first half. Seahorn on the stop. Let's check in with Len Berman. Len?
All right, thanks, Marv. I talked with Ted Marchibroda. He said he wants to run the ball better on first down. He wants to get off to the quarterback much better, so he wants to fire on both sides of the line. He told me he never thought of going for 3 points on that 4th and 1, so he went for the touchdown. As for Jim Fossil, he told me he has several personnel groupings. He wants to move them out of there, in and out very quickly to keep Baltimore off balance.
All right, thanks, Len. 2nd and 7. And Testaverde did well to find a receiver, but Green could not hang on. Eric Green was off to his best start in 3 years. He's been injury hit recent seasons. Weight has always been a problem with Eric Green.
Well, he was an absolute terror in Pittsburgh, working with Neil O'Donnell. He was a guy that could threaten and really get after the middle of a field, especially if you're going to blitz a team. And he should be Vinny Testaverde's best weapon up the seam of a defense.
3rd and 7. Deep drop by Testaverde, and he throws downfield. The diving attempt incomplete. Eric Alexander with a good effort, but could not come up with it. And the punting unit will check in. Greg Montgomery back to punt beyond his 10, his 4th punt of the day. Here's Montgomery out of Morristown, New Jersey. And Amani Toomer is back deep. Had the difficulty with that invalid fair catch signal earlier.
I hate when that happens.
So does Jim Fossil. Well, Toomer will handle this one and able to run by one of the Ravens and makes a couple of nice moves and then is taken down. Dorian Brew, who missed him on that first attempt, able to come back to make the tackle.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by the full line of vehicles from Mitsubishi, built for living. By Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing. By Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by AIM Mutual Funds. AIM, invest with discipline.
Beautiful 75-degree day in the New York, New Jersey area. The MetLife blimp Snoopy 1 providing a bird's eye view of today's NFL football action. Brown couldn't find anyone and then slides up to the 43, covered up by James Jones.
You know, so far it has to be a disappointing performance for Ted Marchibroda's defense thus far. A defense that had a little swagger to it last night when we talked to them. They were come out and slap this offense around and show these guys they can't move the ball on them, and they've replaced some bodies, and for a very good reason. I mean, look what they did last year. 4 of those 8 road games over 30 points.
2nd down and 6. Bobber off the pitch. Able to make the turn and pick up the first down. And Tiki Barber hears it from the crowd. He's done it both on the ground and as a receiver. Tiki Barber in his rookie season out of Virginia, 2nd round draft pick. Bothered by a shoulder problem, a muscle injury that forced him out last week. He's run for 34 yards. He's caught 5 passes. Ravens 14, Giants 12 with 2 minutes gone by in the 3rd. And a first down at the 48. Brown hesitated and then completed to Wade, but it's at the line of scrimmage. Boulware and Moore were right there to greet Charles Way. Charles Way, another Virginia product, 6th round pick back in 95. In fact, 3 years ago became the first rookie since Mark Bavaro in 1985 to be in the Giants starting lineup on opening day. Second down. And it's Barber finding the hole. And the ball popped loose. And it's recovered by Brady, but it may have been ruled that Barber was down. Yes.
They're definitely calling his motion down. Because it couldn't have been because his body was down. Saying that forward momentum and his impetus was stopped. And look at Ted Marchibroda.
So Donnie Brady being called back.
Forward progress ruled before the fumble.
You know, when you're playing a team that you should beat and you're not playing well, you're looking for this type of a thing to help you. That was a great call by the official. Tiki Barber is stood up. He is driven back. And then the ball is popped out. Excellent call.
That is ruled his forward progress was stopped. Here's Wheatley finding the hole, getting inside the 20. Moore and Herring on the stop of Tyrone Wheatley, who went for 9.
Well, Tiki Barber showed you a little of the squirt. And now Tyrone Wheatley shows you a little bit of the power, just powering right over a would-be tackler.
And Randy, last week, Wheatley played for just the first time this season. 1 rushing attempt for 6 yards. He did catch 4 balls. There's just inches short of a first down. Tyrone Wheatley has been a disappointment in his 3rd season out of Michigan, has not been getting the playing time.
Well, there's a couple of words that usually follow disappointment when you're a New York Giant, and that's early to first round pick. I mean, they've had a great record with later round picks, but the record around here for early picks has been dismal.
2nd and inches off the pitch. Wheatley makes the turn and has the first down with some more. Run out by Stevan Moore. And a good-looking drive being engineered by the Giants.
It really is. I mean, it's power. It's the offensive line right now taking control of physically what is a superior Baltimore defense and doing their job. You know, this is exactly what Tony Siragusa warned us about yesterday when we talked to him. He said, if we let these guys hang in it, we're in trouble.
Bounce pass one-handed by Callaway. Able to make the grab. Stopped by Moore. Callaway with his 5th reception. Interesting alignment by Jim Fossil. He had Wheatley split wide to the left side, and the lone deep back was Way. A 7-yard pickup. It'll be a 2nd down and 3 just outside the 5.
Well, right now, Jim Fossil's offense is dealing cards that Ted Marchibroda's defense cannot figure out.
Great play of the drive. Wheatley straight through inside the 5.
And, you know, a lot is said about the offensive pace that Jim Fossil wants here at New York. Had a long drive earlier, but this is the pace they want. They get in the huddle, they get out of the huddle, they're back at the line of scrimmage around 20 to 18 seconds, and they're just being very methodical.
And they are calling for the yardsticks close to the first down. Let's send it downstairs to Len Berman. Len?
Well, Marv, you and Randy talking about that Baltimore defense. Well, 2 of the starters are out of there now. Rob Burnett, the defensive end, has a strained right knee. He probably will not return. Free safety Rondell Jones, also with a strained knee, but he's holding his helmet. I have a feeling he'll get back in there eventually.
All right, Len. Kim Herring has been playing for Rondell Jones and Mike Frederick for Rob Burnett. Giants short of a first down. It's a 3rd and inches.
To an eligible position.
5 minutes gone by in the 3rd quarter. Ravens have a 14-12 lead on the Giants. Wheatley and Way, all the running backs. Look out, movement. Looked like Frederick jumped. Mike Frederick in his 3rd season from Virginia.
Encroachment. Number 94 defense. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Mike, Mr. McElwee isn't buying it, and we're not buying it. Frederick's trying to sell some tickets about how I was drawn off. I was drawn off. Well, you're the only guy moving, Bubba.
Mike Frederick started the season as the starting right defensive end with Michael McCrary injured. McCrary made his Ravens debut last week following arthroscopic knee surgery. So a first and goal. Brown off the roll, fires, and Aaron Pierce could not hold on. That ball was thrown very hard.
Well, excellent job by Kim Herring. I mentioned he's in earlier for Rondell Jones, who's on the sideline. They come off the line of scrimmage, and they try to get this play off extremely quickly. They snap it quick, and by snapping it quick, Wade can't quite get him. Herring makes the play, and the ball never turned over, which is bad when you're talking about a pass. It's usually a punt you talk about not turning over, so it's usually a hint the pass isn't too effective.
Second and goal at the 1. Lewis now split wide to the left. It's Callaway in motion, and here's Wheatley. No indication from the officials. He was short. Did not take it over the goal line. Stopped by Tyrus McLeod, backup linebacker, rookie from Louisville.
Now watch the ball in his hands. Is it over? If he's holding the ball in his feet, he's got 6 points. But I think that ball is about 2 inches short because it was in his hands.
Now that would be dexterity. It is a third and goal at the 1. Again Wheatley, and this time he is able to bring it home. Wheatley on the slant for the touchdown. And the Giants have taken the lead, 18-14.
Jim Fossil goes to that formula chart and says, guys, we're going for 2 one more time. But this is the offensive line. It has been their drive so far, and it might as well be their drive at the end. Howard Cross gets a great knockdown block on the outside. And by the time Ray Lewis can get anywhere near Wheatley, he's a yard into the end zone.
And we'll take a break prior to the conversion attempt. All right, the injured Baltimore Raven, Michael McCrary, the outstanding right defensive end, made his return last week following the arthroscopic knee surgery in training camp. Last year with Seattle, 13.5 sacks to tie Bruce Smith for the AFC leadership.
And what a comeback last week. It's a sack and a half against Cincinnati.
Again, a 2-point conversion attempt. Giants failed on this earlier. This time Brown completes to Barber. They get the 2. And extend to a 20-14 advantage. 9:13 remaining in the third quarter. The Giants have come from behind, lead the Ravens by 6.
You're watching the NFL on NBC.
This is not an indication of either coach calling for the Statue of Liberty play, Randy.
Resorting to the cheap ones.
Yes. And the return by Dorian Brew. Excellent coverage by the Giants. Brew stopped at the 15-yard line. Well, we hope you join us next Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Notre Dame football. The Irish looking to turn it from the upset loss yesterday to the Boilermakers of Purdue. It'll be the Fighting Irish renewing their rivalry with Michigan State. Notre Dame football on NBC next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time.
And Nick Saban, formerly defensive coordinator in Cleveland, has got a heck of a passing team at Michigan State.
6 minutes in, third quarter. And the Ravens from their 15-yard line now trailing by 6. Testaverde, incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Green. Report on right defensive end Michael McCrary that he suffered a leg cramp and probably will return.
Well, not too surprising, too. The kind of player he is a full motor just go nuts every single play guy, and he's just coming back off that surgery.
2nd down and 10. Oh, nice pass, threading it. Testaverde finding Alexander for 16. Met by Sparks. Derek Alexander, 62 receptions a year ago, a Pro Bowl alternate. Usually does most of his damage after the catch. A very physical receiver. And here's Miner finding a hole, reaching out for the 39, where he's taken down by Bratsky. So they go to the no huddle. Ted Marchibroda said we will see some of that.
And it's much easier to do it on your own home field, but if this home crowd here at Giant Stadium is going to be this quiet, Marchibroda's offense has no problem running this no huddle.
Ravens have a 2nd and 2.
I mean, it's quiet enough for him to verbally yell his audibles. They have had hand signals.
Testaverde's pass was knocked down. Looked like Keith Hamilton got a piece of it.
And that takes some reaching to get the ball when Vinny Testaverde's standing in there throwing that thing. You've got to get that hand up. It's exactly what Keith Hamilton did.
3rd down and 2. A bullet swing from Biner had nowhere to go.
Marv, right now, this Baltimore offense does not have that kind of confident swagger you see out of a team that has a 4,000-yard quarterback, a Pro Bowl alternate at one receiver, a guy that can be a Pro Bowl at a couple other receivers. They're just off. They're like, how dare these guys? Don't they know how good we are?
So Greg Montgomery on to punt for the 5th time. Monty Toomer is back at his 20. 7:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Big rush. Good punt. Now Toomer looking for running room. Will not find it. It's a 43-yard punt, 5-yard return. Benny Thompson on the stop. We'll be back in a moment. 7 minutes, 10 seconds remaining. In the 3rd quarter, the Giants have come from behind, lead the Ravens 20-14.
You know, I first thought when I saw that in the release, 18 touchdowns for a season, I thought that was a typo. I mean, Jerry Rice had more of that in a season by himself.
Tiki Barber with the carry. Randy questioning the secretarial staff of the Giants Public Relations Department.
Yeah, you know, you look at the talent on this offense, and you think of the guys that they've brought in here. I mean, Thomas Lewis was a surprise high pick, but, you know, Ike Hilliard, who's out and is going to be a good one. This young guy has got the work habits and the style of a guy that'll be around for a while.
Michael McCrary is back on the field after suffering a cramp in the leg. Tiki Barber getting the call. And it was McCrary who stopped him.
Yeah, and look at what they're getting out of these draft picks today. I mean, he's hurt. He's inactive. He's stepped up today. Tyrone Wheatley has played well. Thomas Lewis has done okay. Dave Brown's had a breakout. Derek Brown, Jacksonville. Jared Bunch out of football. I mean, it has not been what you call the shining moments. That first, you know, the Giants fans sit in the balcony there at the NFL draft. I don't really think I'd sense a lot of warmth, love, and anticipation when it comes to that first-round pick for the Giants.
But the point you made, it's amazing the success they have had in later rounds.
It is. I mean, it really is. And it's a strength of an organization to do that. But, I mean, at what point do you say, you know, if you're Jim Fossil and George Young, fine, let's start trading that first pick away. Let somebody else have this shot and get us some players we know that can play football.
And the Giants able to turn things around after the slow start. They're looking at a 3rd down and 1 at the 37-yard line as we approach 6 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. We said right at the start the Giants would like to find out who they really are after the strong showing against the Eagles opening day. Wallop last week, particularly in the second half by Jacksonville, and Way is stopped. Right at the marker. Let's see where they spot it. Gunning for the first down.
That was straight out of defensive form tackling 101 on that hit on Way. But this Giants offense, you talk about, who are they, what kind of a personality. You've seen a couple of things. You've seen Dave Brown step up and really sort of show himself as a leader for this offense. You've seen an offensive line that's been embarrassed in the past, standing up and doing the best they can. It may not be ultimately what Jim Fossil is looking for is what they can give him as their best. But, you talk about sacks, and they have not gotten to him. They've got the Bullwares, who's been ineffective and pretty much invisible. We've got the McCrary's. We haven't heard anything from McCrary. I mean, the line has done a good job.
And the Giants, as you saw, picked up the first down. Play action. And Brown floats one out there. Diving attempt made by Thomas Lewis. Covered by Kim Herring.
And you got to give Mike Frederick, the defensive tackle that's playing right now, or defensive end for Rob Burnett, a little credit there. That's why Dave Brown threw that ball a little bit wide, as he had to get rid of it earlier because Frederick was right in his grill.
Second and 10 at the 38-yard line. Off the draw, Bobber. Short pickup, stopped by the middle linebacker Ray Lewis, who has been all over the field. Well, the NFL season extends to the World Wide Web on NFL.com, the league's official website. You can visit NFL.com for all the scores and stats, including a complete roundup of this weekend's scores and action. Plus chat live with some of the NFL's biggest stars, all at NFL.com. 3rd and 5. The Giants have it at their 43-yard line with 4:45 remaining, third quarter. And the Giants up by 6. Look out. Brown being chased down. Just did get it away to avoid the sack. Chased by Boulware. Talked with Peter Boulware yet. Oh, looked like he hurt his hand. Landing on his hand. Talked about the holdout.
Oh, look at that forearm, Marv. Look at the that's a turf burn. That's the joys of AstroTurf right there on that forearm.
He's telling us he thought when he reported late there might be some animosity from his teammates. He said instead they treated him very well despite the fact that he reported late.
They all asked him for money, too.
Yes. And here's Brett Maynard for Ray Etheridge. He lets it fly by, and it carries in. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. A 57-yarder by Maynard.
The training and medical staff, the Baltimore Ravens, working on Peter Boulware's forearm. There he is lining up here, make the long trip all the way around. And why are they working on his forearm? Because somewhere around the 3 and the 0, there's about 1/4 of a pound of Peter Boulware's skin from his forearm that gets scraped off. You want to know why players hate AstroTurf? There's just exhibit 1C.
Well, Testaverde able to complete on first down. Eric Green short of picking up the first down. That's his 3rd reception. Robert Harris made the stop. And looked like Vinny Testaverde is holding the throwing hand.
He's making that motion most quarterbacks do when they catch that. They catch that thumb right there. See the right thumb? He looks at it like, wow.
2nd and 2. Miner weaving his way, looking for the first down. Stopped by Jesse Armstead. And a little adjustment by Testaverde of the shoulder pads of Biner, as the Ravens do pick up a first down. In all fairness to the Giants, we're talking about the poor first-round selections for the most part. But Rodney Hampton was a first-round pick who is out injured today. Oh, nice catch made by Michael Jackson in front of Jason Sehorn. Michael Jackson has been a major factor throughout the game. Has a first down.
And this is all done with a soft defense. Sehorn's playing off. Jackson drives. And I don't care how fast Sehorn is, how well he jumps. You're going against a 6'5" receiver, and you give him that much space, you will give up a reception every single time.
Baltimore 1st and 10 from their 43. Testaverde trying to buy some time, and he did. Minor. He had Minor in the open field. Minor short of a first down, stopped by Sparks.
And there's an example of a veteran Vinny Testaverde. There's a guy that's willing to be patient enough to sell a play in another direction to come back to a dump-off pass to his running back in Biner.
Testaverde 12 for 20, 134 yards, 1 touchdown. Second and 2, short set. And he throws one downfield. That is intercepted. Percy Ellsworth. Another Virginia alum, second-year player, signed as a free agent last year.
Remember what we said earlier, this offense in Vinny Testaverde is going to make some big plays on you, but they're also going to give you an opportunity for a big play. Ball slightly underthrown. Ellsworth gets his opportunity, and he grabs both the ball and the opportunity.
Pass intended for Ryan Yarborough. Percy Ellsworth, the first Virginia defensive back ever named a first-team All-American, coming up with his first interception. And that is broken up. Intended for Cross. Lewis got a piece of it. The crowd was looking for interference.
I think so was Ray Lewis. That's why he got up celebrating like that, like, what a great job I did. Lewis, 52, in the middle of the screen. There's Cross. He settles. Yeah, that could have been called interference. I think he came through the shoulder to get over the shoulder.
What a game by Ray Lewis. 16 tackles in all. He was a huge bright spot last year. Very active, very aggressive. Barber driven back. McCrary on the stop. Mentioned Lewis playing well last year for a Ravens team that was 4-12, last in the AFC Central. They lost second-half leads in 10 of their final 11 games, winning only 2. Ted Marchibroda telling us last night, a lot of players didn't want to be there. They were unhappy about the move from Cleveland. They had to do a little house cleaning this season. He felt there was too much negativity after the move, which was understandable. Guys were very unhappy.
Well, you know, as much as you say the records don't apply because they're not the Cleveland Browns anymore, part of their problems were also rooted in Cleveland.
It's a 3rd and 10. Wrigley off the swing. Oh, broke a tackle. He's played well. He's made a contribution here today. Finally driven out of bounds by Donnie Brady.
You know, and if you're on the defensive side of the ball, we were talking about Lewis. Marvin Lewis, their defensive coordinator, knows it's a learning process for this team. You've got to know your coverages. You've got to work on your tackling. And once you can't handle the basics, you have to get the other things. One of the other things is sometimes when your offense isn't quite clicking, you've got to learn as a defense how to win a game with your defense.
And the Giants have a first down at the 33. Wheatley, the call, picked up the yard on the play. We're just under 1 minute left in this quick-moving third quarter. Tony Siragusa on the stop of Wheatley.
Yeah, we talked about a form tackle earlier. Tony Siragusa just absorbed Wheatley on that play. I mean, he went into his area and just did not blotted out the sun because he didn't come back.
Let's see the Mickey Mouse T-shirt through the Raven jersey of Siragusa. Second down and 8. The tight end Howard Cross broke a tackle, stiff arms his way, refusing to go down. Howard Cross pulling his way for 26 yards, finally taken down by the combination of Jamie Sharper and Kim Herring. That was Mark Bavaro-like. Howard Cross fighting his way as this third quarter concludes. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
Little scoring update there, but more importantly, Marv, so far this year, Giants outscored 24-7 in the fourth quarter in the first 2 games.
Had a particularly bad fourth quarter last week against the Jaguars. Nice ball fake by Brown as he was able to connect with Callaway on the play action, hiding the football.
And you know, one harkens back to what you mentioned earlier in the game. about that's Antonio Langham, the cornerback, down on that play. You mentioned Will McDonough's report in the pregame, talking about Jim Fossil's statement to these guys: you quit on me, you do that again. You know, and that's when you see that quit is usually in the fourth quarter, and last week was dismal in the fourth quarter.
Jim Fossil, who was an assistant with the Giants back in '91 and '92, a proponent of the West Coast offense with terrific feel for the passing game. He worked extremely well with Dave Brown when Brown was a rookie, and then Brown regressed badly under Dan Reeves, but Jim has been a developer of quarterbacks. John Elway and Kent Graham have given him much credit.
You know, he said one of the most educational years he's had in professional football is when he spent a year with Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, and Matt Cavanaugh. He said those guys know so much about football. He goes, everybody says, oh, I teach these quarterbacks. He goes, I learned more from those three guys about the game at this level than anybody else. But that's a pretty strong group right there. I mean, Scott Mitchell he had at the University of Utah when Mitchell set all those records. I mean, passed for BYU-ish kind of numbers at Utah.
Well, Antonio Langham is the injured Raven player, as you mentioned. One of the better young cornerbacks in the AFC. 5 interceptions last season to lead the Ravens. But here we'll take a break with the Giants up by 6.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by UPS, the official package delivery company of the NFL. By Intel, makers of the amazing Pentium 2 processor. And by Texaco, a world of energy.
Well, the MetLife Blimp now celebrating its 10th year of providing aerial coverage of sporting events and television specials throughout the United States. 2nd and 5 as we resume, and Brown finding the open man, Kevin Alexander, for a first down. Covered by Kim Herring. Kevin Alexander, second-year man from Utah State, with his first reception of the season.
And there's the Giants coach who's taking advantage of Baltimore's injuries in their defensive backfield. They come out in 3 wide receivers. Baltimore has every defensive back that they can play left. There's only 5 left on the field. But with injuries to guys like Langham and Rondell Jones, you've got inexperienced defensive backs on the field.
As Dorian Brew has come on for Antonio Langham. Tyrone Wheatley was taken down by James Jones.
They also had Deron Jenkins, the backup right cornerback, on the field as the nickel back. And, you know, no matter what you can say, well, yes, they do play in nickel, they do play in dime. They're being put now in different situations, playing different roles with another injury.
2nd down and 11. Giants just outside the Baltimore Raven 15-yard line with a minute and 40 gone by in the fourth quarter. The Giants 20 and the Ravens 14. Here's Brown, couldn't find anyone, and then Brown able to take it down near the 10. Tripped up by Boulware.
You know, and that's the kind of thing that Dave Brown does. When Dave Brown plays well, he will do this and he will hurt you. That is when you let a quarterback stand back and have the confidence to know he can throw. When they start figuring out they can throw, then they start thinking maybe I can run. Not a running threat, but enough of a threat there to pick up some significant yards on 2nd down.
Dave Brown picked up 4. It's a 3rd and 6 at the 10-yard line. Dave Brown in his 6th season out of Duke, a supplemental draft pick, and did not like what he was looking at, taking a timeout.
Charge, timeout.
The Giants call for time with 12:31 remaining in the 4th.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Call now to enjoy a hot and delicious Domino's Pizza during the game. For hot and wow, call Domino's now.
Back at Giants Stadium, Marv Albert, Randy Cross, Len Berman handling the sideline. We have a 3rd down and 6 for the Giants. They lead the Ravens 20-14. 12 and a half to go in the 4th. Brown looking end zone, and it is broken up. Knocked down by Ray Lewis. The pass intended for Chris Callaway, and an important field goal attempt coming up here for the Giants.
And Ray Lewis lined up right over here, and he is very, very lucky, he being Dave Brown, that he threw that at a linebacker that close to a linebacker. The defensive back has that extra spring and picks that off and possibly costs his team a field goal.
And some pressure here on Brad DeLuiso. He had an extra point attempt blocked. He missed a 41-yard field goal attempt, and he will attempt from 28 yards away, looking to extend the lead. The angle is to the left. Maynard will put it down. And it is good. They are calling it officially 27. And the Giants lead 23-14. The Giants at one point were down 14-6. They now lead 23-14 as Brad DeLuiso a moment ago connected on a 27-yard field goal, picks it off, and he booms it. There will be no return. So the Ravens with Vinny Testaverde will start out from their 20-yard line. Well, NBC Premiere Week is just a week away with 5 nights of all new must-see comedy headed your way. Plus, ER premieres with a live broadcast. It all starts September the 22nd right here on NBC.
Must be the morbid guy in me, but I can't wait to see an ER live just for the blood. Hope they do a couple live operations and things like that. That is real blood. Morbid would be the correct description. You think so?
Big rush. Testaverde had his arm. Apparently one of the Giants got a piece of it, and the Ravens fortunate that it was an eligible receiver, Ernest Biner, who came up with the football. Michael Strahan coming hard, made the contact.
And, you know, they know Vinny will put the ball up. This is the second half. You get in the third and fourth quarter, you got to start pressuring these quarterbacks in general in the NFL because they will make mistakes.
A loss of 3. Second and 13 from the 17-yard line. This time Testaverde got the protection, but it's incomplete, intended for the tight end, Eric Green, and the Giants are coming hard on this series.
Well, on both sides of the ball, you've got to say on the offensive side, it's the offensive line, and on the defensive side, the front 7 has just out-physicaled this Baltimore team, and especially late. Right now, it's the lines of the Giants being assertive.
Testaverde, again, fortunate to get it off. Strahan, the man who put the pressure on. This is a revamped Raven offensive line due to the injuries at center, and Goaz moving over to center. Campbell is starting at left guard, and the Giants taking advantage here in the fourth quarter.
But, you know, notice, Marv, we have not seen like a jailbreak situation. It's been a pocket slowly disintegrating by a defensive line pushing and a defensive backfield doing a nice job executing John Fox's defense.
Greg Montgomery with the punt, and another good one. Toomer off the back pedal. Can't find the running room, and he is hit out of bounds. Hit by Cornell Brown. A 46-yard punt, 11-yard return, and the Giants will go to the offense. A check of the Miller Time game summary with the Giants up 23-14. You see total yards 321 for the Giants, and an outstanding game for Dave Brown. The Giants go back to the offense. Tyrone Wheatley, who's been a major factor here today, stopped by Ray Lewis. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel, who has this update.
All right, Marv, in Atlanta earlier today, we showed you Napoleon Kaufman's 61-yard touchdown run. Check this one out. Around the left side, turns the corner, leaves everybody in his wake. 58 yards. Kaufman 142 yards and 2 touchdowns today. And the Raiders hold a 31-24 lead on the Falcons approaching the end of the third quarter, Marv.
All right, thanks, Greg. Back here at Giant Stadium, second down and 9 for the Giants. Deep drop by Brown. Deep pass by Brown, and it is incomplete. Intended for Lewis. who was covered by Brady. The Ravens depleted in the secondary with Antonio Langham suffering an injury to his right ankle. Rondell Jones with a knee injury. And it looks like Eric Zier, the backup quarterback, is going through the warm-up. We saw Vinny Testaverde hurt his hand a couple of series back.
Well, he was holding and adjusting that thumb. But, you know, I don't know if it's been the thumb or it's just been this Giants defense, but Vinny's been ineffective. And if you're going to change a quarterback, you better do it now with 10.5 minutes to get an effect.
Yes, Testaverde only 6 of 13 and an interception in the second half. That was intended for Tiki Barber, covered by the outside linebacker, Peter Boulware.
See Vinny squeezing that ball there. So important when you're throwing a pass just to be able to have that ball come off the hand. Numerous times you listen to a quarterback talk about how pivotal that grip motion with that thumb is for a pass.
And Brad Maynard comes on to punt. Jermaine Lewis is back deep. Lewis back at his 10. Lewis sat out last week with a knee problem. Gets the good hang time and a fair catch. Handled by Lewis. It's a 40-yard punt. So the Ravens down now 23-14, and they will start out at their 17-yard line.
This is the last series, and Vinny, we talked about all that, the pressure and the job that this defensive line in front seven has done. There's that landing right on that right arm. He was hit on the right arm the play before. So I would have to venture a guess Mr. Zier has his helmet on, stands on the sideline, and gets ready to go, because you've got to let this guy throw it and see if he can. You're not going to win this game running the ball.
Testaverde had the time. The pass intended for Alexander. Facing the double coverage. Took the hit, sandwiched by the combination of Wooten and Sparks.
And, you know, we talked about this a little while ago, Marv. When it comes for Vinny, Vinny's been a quarterback who's got the strong arm, the confident arm, much like a Jeff George with the Raiders now. He will force the ball late. The defenses know it.
Throw play off the no huddle, and Biner able to swarm his way for some extra yardage. Covered up by Armstead. Vinny Testaverde last season made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career. As we mentioned earlier, throwing for more than 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. With much credit to the help of Ted Marcaverda. Completes to Green, but he's kept away from the first down marker. Stopped by Percy Ellsworth.
It's going to be very close, Marv. I thought he caught that ball right at the marker. It's going to be a first down from the looks of that right there, but that was the forward motion and then the drive back by the defense from the Giants.
Nice spot, though, for the Ravens. From the angle here, looks like he picked it up, yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of like your partner from last year, Marv, Sam Weich. I've never seen an offensive spot that looks questionable in that direction bad. I mean, you got to like that. Here you go. There's Green right there. Just does a little catch in the flat, and that's obvious. To me, that just says, yes, Ellsworth hit him hard, but the ball was over the first down.
Was that a shot at Sam Weich? Oh, no. Testaverde in trouble, and dangerous pass is thrown.
Exactly, and you saw earlier on the pregame the thing about Jeff George, the interview with Jim Gray. You saw that flip up in the air on Monday night. That is exactly the kind of pass that a quarterback is like Vinny. Sometimes Jeff George, obviously, too, is going to give you that shot. You're going to get a chance.
Now, this just kills the hurry-up offense. You know, you hate to see the shoe come off.
But it's good to see they know how to tie those laces.
Second down and 10. And Testaverde completes to Jackson, who's driven back the other way. Jesse Armstead leading the attack. For more on Vinny Testaverde's injury, let's check in with Len.
Well, Marv, the report is a strained right elbow and a strained right thumb, both on Testaverde, so he's playing hurt right now.
Eric Zier was warming up a moment ago. Zier, the 3-year pro out of Georgia. And Testaverde completes. Has the first down with Alexander. Derek Alexander. Tackled by Felipe Sparks. 4th catch of the day for Alexander. We're down to 8:40 to go in the 4th quarter. The Giants lead 23-14, and the Ravens have a first down at their 43-yard line. Now Testaverde for Green. Eric Green beating the Giants secondary. 35-yard pickup.
Remember what I told you earlier, that Eric Green should be the seam weapon? There's the seam, and there's the weapon for Vinny Testaverde. That is what made Eric Green an all-pro at Pittsburgh, is threatening that seam area.
It is a first down at the Giant 23. Testaverde goes the other way, and Michael Jackson with a nice adjustment to make the reception, covered by Jason Sehorn.
Hey, here's a great gutsy comeback, too, from Vinny. You want an illustration of what the difference is between the Baltimore Vinny and the Tampa Bay Vinny?
Sam White.
Ray Perkins, but we digress. No, the main difference is that Baltimore, he's got these weapons. He's got these toys around him. He's the Michael Jacksons. He's got the Alexanders. He's got the people, the Eric Greens, to get the ball with, to match his sort of bravado and willingness to put the ball up in the air.
Dennis Biner picked up the first down. Sam, who I know is listening in the studio, knows we're just kidding around here. And Testaverde's pass to the end zone. Touchdown! Michael Jackson made the catch and was able to stay within the end zone. What a play! Sehorn on the coverage, and it brings the Ravens within 3.
Marv, I like 2 things there. One, the reaction from Jason Sehorn in the end zone, like, you got to be kidding me. And 2 was the mini conference between our officials. One looked at the other one, the other one looked at the other one and said, well, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? 6, do you have it? Well, nod, yes. Okay.
And here's Matt Stover converting the extra point. So this is a drive that started back at the Ravens 18. It concludes with a touchdown pass to Michael Jackson, and the Giant lead is down to 2.
And Vinny puts this in an area his weapon Michael Jackson can get to. See the way that ball was brought into the chest, cradled between the ground and his body. Sehorn close, but no cigar, because Jackson comes down. The foot become a non-issue on that catch, because the first thing to hit is the body and the ball. It's not the feet. And not bad for a guy with a sore elbow, a sore thumb, and some pretty sick numbers so far, but that touchdown's a very important number.
Second touchdown pass of the day for Testaverde. 2nd touchdown reception on the season for Jackson. Michael Jackson, in his 7th year out of Southern Mississippi, recruited as a quarterback at Southern Miss. Last year, career season, 76 receptions and 14 touchdowns.
He was out here earlier today in warm-ups this morning, Marv, throwing the ball, I swear, at least 60, 65 yards in the air. He's got a heck of an arm.
Thomas Lewis handling the kickoff. And Lewis brings across the 20, stopped by Herring. 19-yard return. Well, coming up next here on NBC, the World Beach Volleyball Championships. You can catch some of the world's best in beach volleyball from the campus of UCLA. That's next, right here on NBC. The Raven drive, 10 plays, 82 yards, and it carried 3 minutes and 10 seconds. They are now down by 2. The Giants have a 1st and 10 at their 21 with just under 7 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Wheatley with a short pickup.
Remember what we said earlier, too, at this point, Marv, is it's not so much how you handle your successes, it's how you handle the challenges. And right now, this Giants team's been challenged. A real strength for Jim Fossil's offense to this point in the second half has been the physical play of the offensive line. You've got a Baltimore Ravens team that is making a challenge. Can you run the ball here and not give them the ball back? Eat up the clock.
And this is a Giant offensive line that did not play well last week. Oh, wide open Lewis. has a first down and some more. Picked up 22. And a lot of space. Donnie Brady was providing cushion. It was Brady who got him out of bounds.
Remember the old Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie? After watching the tapes of this Giants team, it's almost like somebody's slid a few pods under some beds here in New Jersey, because, I mean, these don't look like the same guys. Dave Brown does not look like the same quarterback, and this offensive line is not the one that got ripped last week.
And another completion, this time Wheatley out to midfield. Met by Brady. Brady and Sharper combining to make the stop, and Dave Brown and the Giants trying to take advantage of that injury-depleted secondary of the Ravens.
Exactly. They have got to do that, and more important, what you've seen so far is the ball being kept between the stripes. That ball is being kept in bounds. We're approaching 5.5 minutes to go. This is what you do when you want to learn to be a good team. You take the ball and you go away.
Callaway to the right, Lewis left. Brown is now 26 of 41, 241 yards. Now Wheatley on a sweep and makes the turn. Bumped out of bounds, close to the marker, hit by the combination of Ray Lewis and Kim Herring.
Actually, Tyrone Wheatley, tomorrow we'll hear great run, but if you could have, stay in bounds. Because the number one ally they have right now is that clock. Get that clock and get that clock moving. And it's moving.
Wheatley now 12 carries, 34 yards, including a touchdown. The Giants with a 3rd and 3 at the Raven 47. Brown has a first down. Chris Callaway running the out. Covered by Deron Jenkins.
Well, I started this game doubting Dave Brown's confidence and his struggle with his confidence. But there's no doubt or lack of confidence in the Dave Brown we're seeing right now, trying to finish this game off for the Giants. He's standing in the pocket, getting the protection, and firing the ball.
Well, Randy, a pretty strong statement that he made to you yesterday when he starts to question two teammates and himself for lack of confidence. How often do you hear an athlete say that? Here's Brown throwing deep. Brown looking for interference. There is a flag. Jenkins on the coverage of Callaway.
And you've mentioned it a few times, Marv. A lot of backups in the backfield right now for the Baltimore's defense.
Illegal contact, number 25 defense. 5-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
And that is Deron Jenkins, second-year man out of Tennessee, a second-round pick a year ago.
That contact is about a 50-50 contact. That was initiated as much by the offensive player as it was by the defensive player, but it's called on him because it's 20 yards downfield.
And that is the 28th first down for the Giants. That's a high number. But they lead by just 2 points, 23-21. First down at the 32 with 4:48 remaining in this fourth quarter. And back to the ground. This time it's the fullback, Charles Way. Stopped by Lewis and Herring.
When you got an offense on the other side of the field, and Jim Fossil right now is staring over Ted Marchibroda's side, so I don't want Vinny Testaverde and that offense back on here. So on that list you see right there in front of Jim Fossil is what we used to refer to when I was playing with San Francisco as a 4-minute offense. And the 4-minute offense is where you just run the ball and you keep safe inside the hash marks type passes, and you have no plan or intent on giving the ball back to the other team.
Second down and 6 at the Raven 28. Straight ahead move by Way. And here's it from the crowd for the second effort. Way looking for the first down.
And it has been a running back by committee kind of running game today with Wheatley and Barber and Way all pitching in.
And they're going to check it out. They're calling for the yardsticks. How about Ray Lewis today? 19 overall tackles. That includes assisted tackles, 3 pass defenses. He leads the Ravens in tackles coming into today. the Giants short of the first down. 3 minutes and 43 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. It's the Giants 23 and the Ravens 21. Both these clubs at 1 up and 1 down. The Giants next week play at St. Louis, and then they're home for New Orleans. The schedule actually favorable. They split with 2 tough opponents. Although last week a poor showing. Now they play 10 of the next 11 against teams that did not make the playoffs last year. And the Barber is stopped by Lewis.
And Marv, you talk about that whole deal, and Jim Fossil faces the decision here about, do you want to go for this field goal? But he'll wake up this year every Sunday morning, anywhere you look on that future schedule, wondering which New York Giant team he's going to have. This is not going to be an immediate transformation. They found that out in week 2. It is going to take a while of his stomping on the back of these guys' necks to get them to pay attention.
All right, a timeout is being called by the Ravens. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Marv, in Kansas City, probably the last guy in the league you want to kick off to is Tamarick Vanover, but that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills did. He took it at his own 6 and went 94 quick yards. The 4th time in his career he's returned to kickoff for a touchdown. A Buffalo field goal has pulled him even, but the Chiefs are threatening inside the 5, middle of the 4th quarter, Marv.
Thank you, Greg. It is a 4th down and 2. And this would be a 41-yard field goal attempt. This moments ago, Ted Marchibroda, who is a mild-mannered guy most of the time, exhorting his team. Ravens are down by 2, 23-21. DeLuiso hit from 27, missed a 41-yarder, had an extra point block. And this is not good. Oh, he's had a rough day. The point after was blocked, but he has now missed 2 of 3.
Well, the one guy that probably could not hear Ted Marchibroda rooting on that defense was DeLuiso, and he had as much effect on the defensive outcome as anybody else. Just a straight push. Giant lead is still 2, and Jim Fossil knows right that second that a field goal wins it for an offense that after that last possession is on a roll.
2 minutes and 59 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. And this crowd urging on the Giant defensive unit. Ravens take over at their 32-yard line. Long count by Testaverde and mishandled the snap. Able to recover and make something out of it.
Did you see Vinny at the end of that right? He lowers that right shoulder. We're talking about that right thumb and that right elbow. He puts that right shoulder down, but ladies and gentlemen, after that fumbled snap, do not be fooled. This is not a slight type of a gentleman playing quarterback. This guy is as big as most tight ends in the NFL.
And it looks like he's bulked up a bit, worked very hard in the offseason. Ernest Biner with a good run, another first down for the Ravens. Bratsky on the stop.
As a Giants defense that's put a great performance for 3.5 quarters together, it means nothing if you don't step up now.
And the Ravens in the no huddle, which they run so well. Alexander putting some moves on, is stopped at the Giant 38-yard line by Sparks as we come down to 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Ravens on the move, Giants clinging to a 2-point lead. Just a moment ago, Brad DeLuiso, the Giants missed from 41 yards out. He's missed on 2 of 3. It's provided a shot here for the Ravens, who are on the move. And again, it's Green with a clutch catch brought down by Marcus Buckley and Jason Sehorn. That's his 6th reception of the day, and it is a Raven first down.
With Benny's weapons, Marv, it's a pick your poison deal, but do not lose track defensively of Eric Green. You're asking for a touchdown.
And out to the ground, straight ahead move by Biner, stopped by Bratsky. We're down to 1.5 minutes to go. Former Giant Matt Stover, although he was originally drafted by the Giants, did not play for the Giants. He's had a very steady career. Last year on the inconsistent side, particularly in crunch time. He missed 3 potential game-winning field goals, but he is the NFL's all-time field goal accuracy leader, and he's 5 for 5 this season and has the range. He once hit a 55-yarder. His long this year, 41. Giants have taken a timeout. They are down to 1 timeout to go. Baltimore with 2 left. Next Sunday, NFL action will continue here on NBC with a doubleheader beginning 12 noon Eastern with the NFL on NBC. Game 1 of our twin bill. Jeff George of the Oakland Raiders taking on the New York Jets. Or some of you will see these Baltimore Ravens go up against the Tennessee Oilers. Game 2 of the twin bill. Bengals facing John Elway and the Broncos, or the Colts and the Bills. 2nd and 8 down at the 25. Biner brought down by Keith Hamilton, and it sets up a 3rd down and 7. So the Giants stop the clock with 1:21 remaining. That is their final timeout.
And Jim Fossil is seeing right now exactly why you want to have that 4-minute offense eat up that clock. An offense on the other side of the field that can effectively move the ball down the field in chunks. And then when they get inside a comfortable, not gimme, but fairly comfortable field goal range, they will not put the ball in the air and threaten a turnover.
And this franchise has not won a game on the road in the regular season since wearing the orange of the Cleveland Browns, although once again we mentioned the Browns records are not considered to be part of the Ravens organization. Last season the Ravens 0-8 on the road, and today is the first of 3 straight on the road. Right here it would be a 41-yard field goal attempt. So they're trying to get closer. There's Biner at the 20-yard line. Clock is running. 1:10 to go. Conrad Hamilton, who made his return back from knee surgery, making his 97 debut, in on the stop. They're running the clock down
as close as possible, Marv. There's 22 seconds right now left on the play clock. There's no reason to hurry here. Montgomery, the punter, taking his time, waving to the offensive line. Take your time. Calls over the referee Bob McAwee to call that timeout at the last second as it gets down to 2.
Well, let's see. This would be about a 37-yard attempt, and now the timeout is called with 38 seconds remaining. So the Ravens have 1 timeout remaining. We'll be back in a moment right here. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marv, in Kansas City, 16-16 tie. Elvis Gerbach from the 1. Play action. Tony Richardson on the reception. 1 yard and a touchdown. The point after was blocked. That could be big. Under 4 minutes to play. Chiefs lead it 22-16. Marv.
All right, thanks, Greg. As we mentioned, Matt Stover this season, 5 for 5. His long 41. Connected on a 41-yard field goal. His career high 55. That was back in 91 against the Oilers.
And this is a windy stadium. It does play with passes. It plays with kicks. Galwiso has put 2 out to the right on his misses. If you're Matt Stover, this is not a long field goal. Line it up at the middle and drill it.
Kinchin, the snapper. Montgomery will put it down from 37 yards away for the lead. It is good. And the Ravens have taken a 1-point lead with 34 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. And that has to feel extremely good for Matt Stover, who, as I mentioned moments ago, had some difficulties last year down the stretch in crunch time.
Good snap, good hold, right down the center. He nails it. A satisfying feeling for everyone involved. Obviously, a great feeling for Stover. But the people on that Baltimore sideline have got to be thrilled, Marv, after what they went through last year, everything else. But as good as this guy feels, Delwiso's got a case of the what ifs. And Fossil has to turn around if he does at this point and say, why didn't you?
Missed 2 field goals, and an extra point was blocked, although that was not his fault. So the Ravens have recaptured the lead. They're up by 1, 24-23. Giants at one point had 17 unanswered points. Thomas Lewis is back, just 34 seconds remaining. Stover kicks it away, and Lewis one-hops it out to the 20-yard line. Trying to get out of bounds. The crowd was urging him to get out. Returned it, 21. He was met by backup running back Tony Vincent, and we're down to 29 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter.
And this is just keep him inside the hash marks and just don't let anybody get behind you. I mean, this is nowhere near a prevent defense situation. This is about 20 yards deeper than a prevent.
Sideline, and it is broken up. The intent there was to get it to Lewis, and then Lewis would step out of bounds to stop the clock.
Yeah, that play was broken up by Thomas Lewis because Donnie Brady was the guy who was the closest to the ball with a chance to catch it.
23 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Ravens 24, Giants 23. The Giants from their 25 with a second down play. The Ravens trying to stop that 8-game road losing streak. And this one is completed. The Giants do not have any timeouts remaining, though. Callaway on the reception. It's good for 17. Clock is running. We're down to 10. He's going to have to stop the clock. Yes, he does, with 8 seconds. So Dave Brown spiking it.
Only hope now to get anywhere near a Delwiso type of a situation for a field goal for Jim Fossil is a deep sideline route. And watch the defensive backs sitting on deep sideline routes in this next play.
So do you go to the deep sideline or do you go to the Hail Mary? This would be some Hail Mary thrown by Brown. I don't know if he has that kind of arm strength back at his 43-yard line.
I like the percentages of hitting a 20-25 yarder and hoping your kicker can hit a boomer.
Brown couldn't find anyone, just flips it ahead. And a penalty marker down. He may have been within the grasp of down.
It was intentional grounding. Remember, and we're in the last 2 minutes.
Number 17.
Only 3 seconds remain.
A 10-second runoff. The game is over.
Yeah.
Game is over.
It is all over. They run off the time because of the intentional grounding as he was within the grasp.
Right. In the last 2 minutes of a ball game, those type of penalties result in a 10-second runoff.
A disappointing defeat for the Giants, who had come from behind to take the lead with 17 straight points. But the 2 missed field goals by Brad Delwiso stand out. On the other hand, Vinny Testaverde and the Ravens able to pull it out for their first ever road victory. 0-8 last year on the road. The winning touchdown, Testaverde to Michael Jackson. And then Stover with the winning field goal. So the Ravens win it by 1. We'll be back at Giants Stadium in a moment. Well, the Baltimore Ravens now 2-1 on the season. The Giants dropped to 1-2. The Ravens, the only team not to win on the road last year, which means they had never won outside of Memorial Stadium. They went 0-8. You have to go back to when they were the Cleveland Browns prior to today to find a road victory. Ernest Miner's 23-yard run in overtime set up a Matt Stover game-winning field goal in Cincinnati on October 29th, 1995. Bill Belichick, then head coach of the Cleveland Browns. They made the move last year to Baltimore. And as it turns out today, it's Ted Marchibroda in his second go-round in Baltimore. As head coach of a Baltimore NFL team, he was head man of the Baltimore Colts from 1975 through 1979. Brad Delwiso had a very difficult day. Missed 2 field goals and an extra point block The Giants at one point led 23-14 in the fourth quarter, but on a Matt Stover field goal once again, the Ravens are able to pull it out. Final score again, 24-23. Stay tuned for the World Beach Volleyball Championships coming up next. For Randy Cross and Len Berman, I'm Marv Albert. So long from Giant Stadium. You've been watching the NFL on NBC, home of the Super Bowl.